Hello, my astrology friends. This is Lada from Astrolada.com, and these are your November 2025 horoscopes. This month we have Divine Trine, Grand Trine in water. Multiple times it's being formed. Saturn and Jupiter holding a perfect trine the whole month, and it's completed by Mercury, by Venus, by the Sun, by the new moon. The Grand Trine in water is the most healing energy we can get. There will be some spontaneous healings outside for many of you, internally, externally. The Grand Trine is the perfect triangle, the equilateral triangle through which the divine blesses us. Anytime there is outpouring of blessings, this can happen through a Grand Trine, extremely harmonious energies, guys, and we'll speak how it affects each one of you, where you can benefit the most from. Yes, we have Mercury retrograde, Jupiter turning retrograde, but the divine blessings are there helping us, even if there is some little crisis from time to time, that we can take the highest decision, that we can act from the highest possible way. And so I'm very excited about the November horoscopes, but I also am ready with the 2026 video horoscopes, 2 hours, 2 or more hours for each of the 12 signs. You can order your sun, moon, or rising just for half price if you want the package of 3. And for early birds, it's only $19 per sign, or less than 40 for all 3 signs, or 120 for all 12 signs. My work of love, I've been working for the last month on these video horoscopes. It's exciting, and they're available. Thousands of people get them every year. This is my best project and my most loved, where I pour all my heart. Now let's begin with November and the blessings. Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising, November 2025. Aries, the whole month, and even October and the whole of December, Saturn and Jupiter are in perfect trine. It's very rare that they'll hold a trine for such a long time, but because Jupiter is starting to turn retrograde in your fourth house, Saturn towards the end of the month is turning direct, so they're staying at the same degrees the whole month. And this is happening for you in houses that are more private, about your personal life. And these are also so-called moksha houses, liberation from attachment, liberation from something that has a hold on you, especially psychological control, psychological hold on you. Jupiter is in your fourth house, which is our programming from childhood, is our base feeling and emotional state, being stabilized by Saturn. But at the same time, Saturn in the 12th house is about past life, or memory. It's about the past. The 12th house is connected to past lives, the past, and self-sabotaging behaviors like addictions that we're not very conscious about, but we do because of a compulsion of some sort. And when those two planets are trining the whole month in those psychological houses, it will be easier for you to let go and release either early childhood programming, and family ancestral behaviors of some sort, even early traumas. Fourth house for some of us is, if everyone has some traumas from their childhood, from the ancestral line as well. And Jupiter turning direction around the 12th of November is saying that here you'll be rethinking something, seeing it in a different way. You change direction, how you're doing things at home, for example, how your attitude towards your parents, your attitude towards your family. There might be the need to review the dynamics of the family. Or for some of you, it might be on more practical level. Maybe you're doing something with home, with place of living renovations, or trying to move or relocate. When Jupiter goes retrograde from the 12th for the next 3 months after that, it can indicate that you need to put some extra effort there, maybe do it in a more different way. There might be some delays. Of course, it is Jupiter after all, retrograde, so retrograde planet can do some delays in anything to do with home, with family. But because it's a benefic planet, even with the slower pace, and the re-examining of some things from the past or to do with property, with real estate, the final result will be more positive, especially by the time Jupiter turns direct next year in 2026. Because Jupiter always tends to give its best, even when retrograde, to improve the situation of the fourth house, your psychological well being. But there is this introspective moment when you're looking within and trying to, as I said, liberate yourself. There's a house of liberation from the old ways of doing things, which requires a period of introspection as well. You might come back to a previous for Jupiter going retrograde in the fourth houses. You might be reconnecting with family members you haven't seen for a while, or you might be and trying to heal and improve a relationship or with family members, extended family members, or maybe something to do with place of living, as I said, or going back to a place you used to be before, or deciding, because a retrograde planet gives us an alternative look at things, to look at them in a different way, to see them in a different way, anything to do with home, with family, with your base and foundation, and with your psychological and emotional, mental health. Because fourth house is the house of happiness. And when we don't have happiness, we have mental health issues. Jupiter day is truly trying to heal us with the trine of Saturn is becoming easier. Jupiter is allowing you with its trine to Saturn to release psychological attachments to the past as well, to heal addictive behaviors, something that has a strong hold on you. Saturn is a strong hold on you that is hard to let go of. Everyone has some self-sabotaging behaviors they're doing, whether it's with food, whether it's with substances, whether it's with ways to cope and to self-medicate because of mental health issue as well. You see, fourth, 12th house, 8th house is very much about mental health and psychological transformation, all three houses. And they'll be making a grand trine. First, the sun will make a grand trine by joining Jupiter and Saturn in a trine. Uh, then Venus will make it, then Mercury will make it by the end of the month. So we'll have some beautiful, perfect configuration, perfect grand trine in water to release, to heal. So there's healing of the wounded child inside of you, healing of long-standing traumas, even traumas that are not from this lifetime, but from many lifetimes, because the soul carries those things in a subconscious level. So there is this magical alchemical process that will be happening inside of you, areas that might not be even visible for those outside. It's not a very active, those fourth and eighth and 12th houses, they're private houses, but inside of you, something magical is happening. Something close to, chemical, psychological uh, transformation, allowing you to release the past and to heal. And that's why they say the eighth house, where the new moon is on the 20th as well, where we have Venus. You see, everything is there. Eighth house, fourth, 12. But the eighth house is spontaneous healings because we, on some deep level, we have a emotional, psychological release and emotional and psychological transformation of some painful feelings. And there is even this kind of energy of purging a little bit. These are houses of purging. And hopefully by the end of this period, even into December, because Mercury will be retrograde also in your eighth house, and Jupiter goes retrograde in your fourth house that we talked about. Uh, Hopefully, by the end of this process, you'd be much freer psychologically, emotionally, and have overcome some inner demons, let's say, this way, and even helped you release certain addictions, attachments. This is very, very rare and healing opportunity, or just working with a psychologist or going within, introspecting, and or it might even happen naturally without making an effort, just somehow, because the planets align in a grand trine. This is when the gods, the higher beings, help us free ourselves in the water grand trine in particular, healing and emotional stronger connection. These are the houses where we have intimacy, the eighth house, deep bonding, with loved ones and family, the fourth house. Um, and here as well, it's an opportunity for healing through deep bonding and opening yourself to someone's intimacy or to receive help from others, the eighth house. Of course, we're going to have Mercury retrograde. Let's go through that as well. First, Mercury meets Mars on the week between the 9th and the 15th. That gets a little bit more steamy, let's say. This week from the 9th to the 15th, Mercury is retrograde, conjunct Mars. This whole week they're together. So if it's more possible to be easily provoked, actually Aries will deal with that easier than other signs because it's making a trine to you. But you might be asked to defend some truth. Ninth house is your truth. You might be asked or provoked to defend or to examine some moral choice you have in your life. Or you might be asked to be arranging and dealing with ninth houses law and some legal matters, for example, or matters about documents and papers for foreign residents, or maybe some educational ninth house education, teaching, learning, enlightenment, something that you're asked to do there to put more effort with this Mercury retrograde to correct, to change, or even to ninth house is how do we our future plans. Mercury retrograde there with Mars asks us maybe to make some important decision to correct the course or the plans we have for the future. And it might be, that you decide to pre-qualify or you're examining that you need certain knowledge to continue ahead, that you reorient yourself towards your beliefs in some way, towards your ideological affiliations, that there is a questioning there about your beliefs and ideological affinity. But of course, there can be like clash of opinions about beliefs with other people. That's one way. Or it can be about preaching. Nine house Mercury, Mars, they can be the need to preach or connecting with people from faraway countries or different spiritual or religious or ideological belief systems that you need to clarify something there with. But actually, even Mercury retrograde is helping you because it's in a fire sign, so is Mars, to be more productive, to be more efficient as well. So it's not just all this water and emotional things there for you. There might be the need to revise some project that is educational, or when it comes to traveling, be a bit more careful between the 9th and the 15th. This is one of the houses of traveling. Because Mercury retrograde with Mars, there can be surprises, unexpected developments, some things that, well, I'm traveling exactly those weeks. Wow, way to go. Yeah. And the good news is yes, new beginnings, and then Mercury goes retrograde into the eighth house, which happens, let me check exactly when is it. Mercury moves to Scorpio from the 20th, pretty much on the day of the new moon. So there is new beginnings there in this eighth house, but also something from the past. And it's about discovering some secret or some information that is very important because this Mercury retrograde there is part of the new moon opposite Uranus. So there can be some surprising information that comes around this new moon 20th, a bit earlier, a bit later. And it can be very private, intimate information because it's connected to the eighth house. And that can, surprise you, let's say the least. Plus, the eighth house is about mutual finances, resources together with a partner. There can be some important developments there, changing direction, having to rebudget something, having to talk out how much you give, how the partner give, having to redistribute in some way valuable. So, if you do tasks together with another person, how to make it more fair, that is fair on both sides. There can be some intimacy conversations in a romantic relationships, for example. about more private, more taboo topics. Or you might be researching and investigating something. Mercury retrograde in Scorpio in the eighth house is very good about digging down, going down the rabbit hole, whether it's conspiracies or secrets or some more taboo topics, some more psychological or even astrological, esoteric, not surface, very deep topics that your mind will be focused on. Um, and it can also can mean dealing with taxes, as we said, with insurances or some inheritances as well, mutual finances with others, money that you owe others or money that's owed to you. But there is this new beginning, and yet because there is a new moon in your eighth house, but at the same time a retrograde planet there, Mercury retrograde. So yeah, there is this theme of completing something old, starting something new as well when it comes to all those topics. Very psychological indeed. And Saturn is turning direct in your 12th house for the last time in the next 30 years. So Saturn has been in your 12th house for the last 3 years almost. It's not always the easiest position of Saturn. And around the 30th, when is it? Very late, yeah, 28th of November, Saturn is going to start turning direct. And in February, it leaves fully Pisces and enters our sign. So again, there is this promise of, especially if there's some stuck situation connected with mental health, 12th house is very much connected to that. It starts getting us unstuck. It starts moving forward. It starts improving, but you'll feel it more towards, yeah, the end of December. And Jupiter is helping all the time with the trine. And Saturn moving direct already going towards Neptune again. It's about a powerful release of something that is, as we said, it can be self-sabotaging, it can be addiction or something that is holding you hostage. 12 houses, like something that feels like prison for you. It might be mental, it might be physical limitation, or being restrained, because Saturn in the 12th house carries the energy of prison, metaphorical or real. And that thing starts getting resolved with Saturn moving ahead. That things in the mental health, hopefully, or sometimes Saturn in the 12th house is about blockages connected to foreign countries that they start getting resolved, or blockages connected to sleep, problems with sleep. Again, Saturn turning direct, it will start improving. Maybe towards December, you'd feel it more. Oh, if there were some issues connected to expenses, because Saturn in the 12th house rules expenses, it starts getting resolved again, moving forward. And that's before the clean slate, which when Saturn enters Aries, it is like a, deleting previous karmic load and starting a new 28-year cycle. And Saturn now in the 12th house is just ending a lot of the old things in your life, allowing you to detach. Remember, Jupiter is also helping. The new moon in Scorpio is also helping to allow you to detach from the past. And it might be past that you've been stuck with for years and years, for Saturn cycle of 28 years. Something, or maybe half Saturn cycle, 14, or one quarter, 7, but it's something long lasting that has been in your life, that has been maybe like a burden, maybe like a restriction, maybe like a difficulty, or almost like a karmic burden you've been carrying around. That again, it, and you will be able to release it. Maybe you'll feel it stronger and stronger when Saturn enters Aries, but now with it turning direct for the last time in the 12th house is also a very powerful moment of release, where you can receive again this detachment with the past and healing and moving forward. So there you go, Aries. Yeah, Mars is very active in your ninth house, will be supporting you pretty much the whole of November with a trine. So you won't feel just drowning in water with all those water planets. I know for fire signs, it can feel a bit overwhelming because water puts out fire. and it puts all your energy internally, personal life. But there is also support from Mars, which is helping you have that spark, because there was no fire planets in the whole of October. There is thankfully some fire, Mars in Sagittarius in November, and the Sun from the 21st, 22nd of November will also move into Sagittarius, Venus at some point as well. So the more we go into December, the closer towards the end of November, the more we'll start feeling ourselves, we'll start feeling more optimistic. Sun coming out of the 12th house of the very deep topics is the 8th house, kind of intense and life and death, and feeling that big chemical transformation, psychological shadow work, all of those things is the 8th house. And when the sun starts coming out after the new moon on the 20th, at the last degrees in Scorpio, you'd feel like light has come up to maybe, let's say, 23rd, 24th. There is this feeling of lightness. And already Mars is, as I said, it's good if you want to be physically active. Already from the beginning of November, from the 5th of November, Mars entering into a fire sign, you'd have more motivation. Like I usually really work hard these months in the autumn, workout. Haven't been able to. And as I said, when there is so much water, which we're having also in October and now in November, they can be purging through, sometimes through let's say through a flu, because the flu is the body burning the old stuff, burning the toxic things. They can be because the psyche is preparing for transformation, so it can sometimes be with lower energy. Maybe you can see from my video, being having a lot of lower energy and inflammation and so on. So this is gonna go more, and we'll feel more stronger after the 5th of November, when Mars goes into a fire sign, strengthens our immune systems, helps us fight better. And then even more when the sun starts coming into Sagittarius as well. And Venus joins, and Mercury at the very end of the month, Mercury turns direct in your 8th house. So complications with finances, or some secret information or hidden money or resources from others, such complications start getting resolved and becoming more toward, without surprises and yeah, sorry. They're really very hard for me to think with when everything is in water these days. I'm pretty in one leg in the real world, one leg into the afterlife, pretty much with that. So thank you so much, Aries. Hope that was helpful. Happy healing.